As the Prophet Muhammad said, "Give charity without delay, for it stands in the way of calamity." It's a reminder from our Prophet, giving not only changes lives, it also protects us from mishaps. When we give generously, we receive blessings in return. It's not about the size of your donation, it's about the consistency of your generosity. Even your small contribution can make a big difference in people's lives. Visit umrrelief.org today and join us on our journey to changing lives.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم and Ramadan Mubarak to all of our viewers. Thank you for joining us again today for our show Balancing Deen and Dunya, which is sponsored by United Mission for Relief, UMR, and of course produced by iTVusa. We are honored today to have with us a guest that we have had previously last year in Ramadan as well, Brother Salaudeen Nausrudeen. Many of you may know Brother Salaudeen as the founder and president of the Islamic Games of North America, an incredibly successful and exciting and fun initiative that he has been producing and then allowing so many community members to enjoy for almost 20 years now, alhamdulillah. He's also the CEO of Positive Communications, which is a branding and marketing organization. He is the founder and CEO of several other organizations as well. And he's very well known within the community for his initiatives, his involvement, his volunteer work, and his leadership. So without further ado, help me in welcoming Brother Salaudeen.
Thank you, Sister Suzy. Really appreciate the warm and generous welcome. I really appreciate that. And I just wanted to say Ramadan Mubarak to yourself and your family and the ITV listeners and viewers wherever they are, on the globe. I know ITV is global and has listeners around the world, but especially those in the United States and Canada. Ramadan Kareem to you, and may Allah reward and accept your sacrifices and fasting and charities, inshallah.
Ameen, ameen, ameen. Jazakallah khair for joining us and being on our show today. It's always a pleasure to get to talk to you. I know last year we had talked a little bit about the Islamic Games that was about to happen. Actually, I believe it was scheduled for soon after Ramadan. I had been looking forward to wanting to attend. Unfortunately, I was traveling during that time, so I missed it. But in previous years, I have had the pleasure of attending Islamic Games, especially when my children were younger, and they always had such an incredible time. So I'd love for us to kind of start off with maybe a bit of an update. What's new in terms of your planning, your leadership, your volunteerism, and definitely in terms of Islamic Games.
Well, alhamdulillah, I'm glad that UMR is a sponsor on this program. What has happened over the last year has been incredibly, daunting to the Muslim community. With the situation in Gaza, we all are, painfully, terribly sorry about what's happening there, and we all are concerned. It has implication for our deen, our community, and more importantly, our mental state of mind. It can take a toll on young people. On Muslims, the rise of Islamophobia in the United States and Canada keeps rising, and of course, as that's rising, the conflict also rises in the Middle East. So that's a big change that happened for the entire world, especially within the Muslim Arab communities. So I'm glad that UMR is a sponsor. I know they have incredible programs in Gaza, in Palestine, and around the world that can help Muslims to provide some help, in very little ways that is significant. $100 here, we might feel it's $100. What can it do when trillions are being thrown on Gaza? But $100, can feed family, can deliver medicine, can help someone get a new sweater. So much more. So that's what's significantly, that's what happened significantly over the past year. Specifically in Islamic games, of course, our team, we've been working since last year, August, in preparation for 2024. And alhamdulillah, we're ready. We've added some new technology into our relationship with our athletes and those who are attending. And last year was our first year after the COVID and a few years of break. And alhamdulillah, it was great. We had over 1,500 athletes competing, in all the sports that we advertise, and everyone had a great time. This year it's going to be, I think, a lot bigger and better. We have so many leagues and organizations that are coming forward to partner with the Islamic Games, so that their youth and their young sisters and brothers and of all ages can come and be part of this. So our local partners in terms of the communities are like, Masjid Al Wali, MCMC, NBIC, ICPC, and there's a whole host of those organizations, including, of course, a lot of leagues. A lot of the leagues in New York and New Jersey are part of what we're doing. We've built a platform where we can get them on board. On a deeper level, we bring them on board because I think they've been doing the hard work for years and years and years. And Islamic Games provides that opportunity where they can come showcase what they've been doing and us celebrating them and the community cheering them on.
Absolutely. So, subhanAllah, I think you bring up a couple of interesting points. As beautiful as the gathering of Islamic Games is, and, the fun that is had and the smiles that are shared, I think, for all of us in the Muslim community, here in the US and abroad, our hearts are very heavy, seeing what is happening in Gaza. And it can be difficult sometimes to navigate, those things that might bring us a sense of joy when we feel, of course, like one body. When one part is pain, the entire body is in pain. So, how do you think you can reconcile, this excitement or generating the enthusiasm for Islamic Games while also being cognizant of the pain that we're all feeling?
No, I think that's a critical question, and I'm really not sure if there's an answer for that, because the pain is so severe, and on the flip side, you have kids in Gaza that are, and this is Ramadan, that are just eating the basic food, and they're happy about it. They're lining up in long queues with their bowls and pots, waiting for just some soup, basically, So, and then you compare that with what we're doing here. We complain about not having enough water, a little more salad here, a little more sauce here, those kind of thing. And every day when you go to the masjid, you have to reconcile that. You go to iftar at the masjid, you have your own suhoor, you open your refrigerator, you're not too sure what to get until you decide not to get anything. Sometimes in places like Gaza and other affected communities, it's very, 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 very tough. So as persons like myself who are organizing events that bring people in a more festive and fun and exciting environment, we have to remind ourselves that we're doing this, and it is the mercies and blessings of Allah that we are doing it, and we could be next, and so in as much as we are celebrating, we need to, as much as we can, provide an opportunity to alleviate pain of others. I know in sports itself specifically, when you're running a race or you're playing a game, someone gets hurt, you stop the game. You stop the game and you say, hey, let's find out what's happened to Brother Ahmed, his legs or whatever it is, and you treat it. But the game goes on after that because Ahmed would want his team to win. Ahmed would want the game to go on. And it's the same with us at Islamic Games. We feel that while we bring athletes together to compete and we remind them of the pain of others, and we have an organization like UMR, actually, who's a sponsor of the Islamic Games as well, who's going to be there and where you can interact and see what they're doing and help in any which way you can. You know, but the game goes on. You know, the opportunity to expand louder voices for Gaza and so on, you know, has its place in an event like Islamic Games.
Yes, yeah. So subhanAllah, I think that's, you know, a beautiful way of, you know, connecting people to each other, connecting them to the community, but also connecting them to organizations that are providing relief and creating an opportunity and a space to be able to support in that way. So we've talked a lot about Islamic Games, but we haven't talked about where it's happening, when it's happening, you know, how could people sign up? Tell us a little bit more about the logistics.
So alhamdulillah, this year the Islamic Games, last year Islamic Games was in 2 major cities. It was in New Jersey, and that covers kind of the entire Northeast. So you get athletes all the way as south as DC and Virginia that would come to the Islamic Games. And we also went to Brampton, 2 very big cities. As you know, Brampton and the GTA area, there's 1.2 million Muslim living in a very you know, small area, one of the most densest populated Muslim cities in North America. So alhamdulillah, we've expanded to Canada. This year, we have expanded even deeper into Canada. The city of Brampton has actually teamed up with us to deliver the games and to provide all the support that the games need to make it successful. So we've got, you know, multiple facilities in Brampton that Islamic Games will be held. So we're in New Jersey on June 8th and 9th. We're in Brampton on June 27th and 28th. But we also added Dallas and Chicago. Now, the reason why we've added Dallas and Chicago is because the mass leadership, Muslim American Society, they came to the Islamic Games last year in New Jersey, and they're like, wow, this is wonderful. This is incredible. We need to get this in our corners of the wood as well. So we worked with mass. We were able to get a very active committee for the Islamic Games in Chicago, as well as in Dallas. Dallas is on April 27th, right after Ramadan, and Chicago is on at the end of July, 28th and 27th. Alhamdulillah, wherever we've gone, we've taken the same sort of approach where we're working with the community, bringing all the leagues, bringing all the teams. And I think that Dallas and Chicago are going to be surprise cities this year. You know, bringing, you know, literally, you know, hundreds and hundreds of athletes. We've rented really good facilities, and alhamdulillah, the excitement is I mean, I'm in contact every day with the guys in Chicago, the guys in Dallas and Brampton and so on, and it's exciting. So it's a significant growth. It's 4 games in 4 months. So you could imagine the amount of work that we've put into getting these done and building committees and so on. We've also enhanced our technology. Our registration system has gotten better. We have an app now on where you can register and you can see your teams. You can edit your teams. You can on the day of the Islamic Games, you get to see your schedule. You know exactly where you're playing. You know who you're playing with, and you can you know, follow other teams and those kind of things. So it's going to be an exciting year. I think more importantly, the reason why the Islamic Games is growing so organically and rapidly, because a lot of communities have embraced sports as a significant part of their program, whether it's ISCJ or whether it's MCMC. Last night we were at MCMC. MCMC had an all-night program for youth, and Islamic Games was there. They asked us to come and do some activities and promote the games, and so on. So even in Ramadan, the most spiritual of all month, you see that there's a basketball camp, a 3-on-3 tournament. Mass itself has so many tournaments around the country. So there is significant usage of sports by our Muslim community. That we have to take it a bit further now. Now we understand that sports is an opportunity. Let's take it to the higher level, and that's what Islamic Games brings to the landscape.
MashaAllah. I mean, MashaAllah, Mabruk on the rapid growth. I think it's, a testament to, all the hard work that you've put into building Islamic Games, which, started out maybe focused on one or two communities and now has expanded, not just nationally, but internationally as well, with the Canada sites. So that's incredible, alhamdulillah. And I think it definitely speaks to the fact that, sports, activities, team building, it really does counter so many of the mental and emotional illnesses and struggles that we see in building a sense of motivation, a connection with others, a purpose, being goal-driven. And all of these elements align with our Islamic perspectives as well in terms of our spiritual wellness. So I think you've done a great job, mashallah. And I'm excited. I marked it down in my calendar, June 8th for the New Jersey one, inshallah. So I'm definitely going to be swinging by, bi'Iznillah. So tell me a little bit more, though, about your personal journey. This is a massive undertaking. I know that, with many of these types of initiatives, it's, purely volunteer work. It's something that you're giving back to the community. So based on, your extensive resume, mashallah, you've got a lot going on. What is it that brought you to this, place of deciding to start Islamic Games? And how do you sustain? How do you find the time to continue in this field?
Well, good question again. So Islamic Games started when I was a little, I was probably in high school, first, second year in high school. And I come from a family of many athletes. All my brothers, my father was a very accomplished athlete in the Caribbean, where I'm from. We are from Guyana. And he was a very celebrated athlete, many accomplishments, and he lived a very healthy life. May Allah reward him. He passed away at the ripe age of 86. And so we were brought up with high IQ and high interest in sports. All of our cousins, when we met, we fought, we wrestled, we bike ride. We play basketball. If we go to a wedding, if our family plans a wedding, there's a wedding and then there's a basketball tournament happening at the same time among all the cousins. And we, alhamdulillah, even among my brothers and my nieces and nephews, we've all been involved at sports at a very high level as well. One of my sons was a national U.S. runner as well. Who's broke many records in the Northeast and in New Jersey. He holds many high school records right now in Central Jersey. So I come from a history of sports. So my brothers and I, who were part of a Muslim community in Queens, we used to do a lot of sports among ourselves, like play basketball and run and cycle and so on. So we thought of organizing ourselves and reward ourselves. We come together, we print some shirts, we have an event, and we give each other medals and trophies. Then suddenly other communities wanted to join, and it got bigger, and we had to leave Queens because the venues were not as good as the ones in Jersey. So in the early days, we went to Teaneck High School, and we grew the Islamic Games there. And over the years, we went a little more south to South Brunswick. We were at different colleges, Rider University, and so on, where we competed, at the peak, around 2,600 athletes over a 3-day period in many sports. So, and I myself personally, come back to the whole journey thing. In growing up, I studied marketing and advertising. I was one of those creative, artsy kind of guy. So I came up with some nice logos for the Islamic Games. I came up with all kind of imaging. I don't know if you know Brother Abdullah Adhami, Sheikh Abdullah Adhami.
Yes, Abdullah. Yes, I know Sheikh Abdullah.
Many don't know, but him and I were the early creators of the whole imaging for Islamic Games. Yes. He used to be at Pratt University. I was still in high school, and then I was very deep into art. and he's a very, I don't know if you know, but Abdul Hami is a very, very creative person, not only how he speaks, but in his graphic and imagery. You know.
So he created some graphic designs for one of my first books, actually, back in 2010. When one of my books was released, he did some of the graphics for it. So yes.
Yes. So he was part of it. Imam Siraj Wahad, Imam Zaid Shakir, they were all part of teams that competed at Islamic Games in Queens, in North Jersey, in South Jersey. They competed. They brought teams from New Haven, Connecticut. Imam Siraj Wahad bring a large contingent of basketball players. He also brought a lot of martial arts. I know many of you know Ali Abdul Karim, who passed away, who used to be his personal security guard. He was in charge of the martial arts program at Islamic Games for many, many years. So so I think I diverted a little bit, but come back to me. I studied marketing and advertising, and because you know, I dealt with so many projects all my life. I put a lot of resources and my personal time into building the games so that it can rival something that can become something you know, major in our community, something that and because I've been involved with sports, I see what sports have done to young people and what it has done to family. I see what sports I see the excitement of kids when they go to a very professionally well-organized event. As a kid, you know, you go to a basketball game and you see all these stars and it's well-organized. You're energized. So I wanted to bring that same sentiment to the Islamic Games, where it's professionally organized, well-structured. Kids are having fun. Parents are enjoying it. The community is benefiting because, you know, you don't want to bring a product to the community that's half baked and you know, gives not a very bitter kind of experience. So whether it's the venue that we select, we're very selective about that. Getting officials for all of our events, having everything organized from the time they check in to where their games are. You know, our entire imaging and branding. And working with so many organizations and so on. So I think what blending my sports and blending my passion for marketing and advertising was able. The Islamic Games was given birth, which has, you know, a lot of marketing and a lot of social benefits in it, as much as it is sports fundamentally.
Yeah, no, mashallah, it's amazing. And I love, you know, the own personal experience that you had growing up and the impact that, you know, your father, Allah yarhamu, had on, you know, bringing that love of sports. And again, looking today at how many of our youth are struggling with addictions to social media, addictions to devices, particularly post-COVID, you know, the rampant kind of increase in anxiety, depression, loneliness. I think something like Islamic Games is, you know, something we definitely want to encourage all of our youth to take part in, but also our adults, because I think a lot of adults need that outlet as well. And sometimes forget what an incredibly, you know, enriching coping mechanism sports can be.
Yeah.
So I do have a question for you. You know, one of the sports that I know my children lately have very much gotten into is pickleball. So is pickleball one of the events or things that's going to be at Islamic Games?
Funny enough, pickleball has been added to Islamic Games New Jersey. We're doing as a trial this year to see how it's going to work. But alhamdulillah, pickleball is an exciting sport. It's short sport, small space, but it gives you a lot of opportunity to practice your reflex and so much more. So we have that. We have a more expanded martial arts program as well at Islamic Games, but we will continue to, you know, bring events that we believe that the Muslim community wants to participate in once wherever we are renting has the facilities.
Absolutely.
But you can come and do pickleball.
Yes, now that I know it's there, I have to let my kids know, inshallah.
But I think we're doing pickleball doubles only. no singles.
Okay.
So when they register, they'll see the instructions on that, and that should be fun, inshallah.
Absolutely. Now, where can people register? What is the website they can go to, or has registration gone live or not yet? How can our viewers...
Actually, registration started on January 1st, and it's ongoing, and we're getting registrations every day. It's Islamic-games.com.
Okay.
Islamic-games.com, or you can just download the app on Android or Apple. The app actually is easier than the website to register.
Wonderful, wonderful. So in the last few minutes that we have together, one question that we ask all of our guests on the show is about balance. Knowing that you have a professional career track, CEO of your own company that focuses on marketing and branding, and you're also involved in this Islamic Games initiative, which I'm guessing is more of a nonprofit type of programming. And I know how much time and effort, nonprofit programming can take, of course. How do you find that balance between your family life? You mentioned your son, he's an avid sports person as well, nieces, nephews, cousins. You've mentioned your work, and now you've mentioned the Islamic Games as well. How do you find balance in terms of your deen and your dunya in all that you do?
Well, I think fundamentally, I and we all should have it as one of our purpose to balance our life. There's no way you can be an athlete only and have no social interaction, or have no spiritual engagement, or have no community involvement. So it for me, it comes from a mindset that, hey, a complete Salaudeen includes some sports, includes some family, includes some work at the masjid, includes some deeper spiritual work, some intellect. You've got to, and for me, and to me, it came because of my early upbringing again, with my brothers and so on, and learning about Islam from them. My brother was a good teacher of Islam. We used to have study groups everywhere, and you'd always hear that the Prophet fought a war. The Prophet, did wrestling and horseback riding. The Prophet did have a family and a wife and so on. And the Prophet did have to also build an empire and build communities. So he had all that time to do all that stuff. So, and that taught us that, our life has to be like that. Following the Prophet is not only what he has overtly said to do or have done, like in the hadith, but it's also to kind of look at how he structured his life. How did he structure his life? Because he was not only a warrior, he was not only someone who went into the cave and sat and got revelation after 40 days. He got out of the cave and he did other things. So for me, fundamentally, I put that as a goal, that part of what I have to do is to balance my life, and we know with an unbalanced life what happens. In today's society, we have too many people who are caught up in one one kind of direction, and they leave off. You could be a very good, healthy person, but you're disconnected from your community. You don't have good habits and those kind of things. It's not going to work. Like I always tell those who I interact with, that being an athlete is great. Being a Muslim athlete is even greater. Being a Muslim is awesome. Being a Muslim and healthy is incredibly awesome. So I think we've got to we have to put it in our mind to do that. And I think more fundamentally, our events like the Islamic Games will stimulate and motivate organizations and masjids to kind of look at a more balanced approach to how they're passing on Islam to the community.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, Jazakallah khair. I think you make some incredibly, relevant points. I also think just the da'wah aspect of Islamic games. I've seen many youth bringing their non-Muslim friends, to watch, to attend, to be part of it. So I think there's a lot of components there. So that's all that we have time for today on this episode, but we appreciate having you as a guest on our episode. Thank you again to UMR for being a sponsor and iTVusa, our producer. We hope that all of our viewers are able to visit the app or go to the website for Islamic Games, sign up for one of the Islamic Games happening in a city near you, now that we know it's happening in several cities this year.
Yep.
And I hope to see you at the New Jersey one, inshallah. Jazakallahu khair and Ramadan Mubarak. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.